Hello students. Yesterday we have seen the introduction of the chapter The Enemy, a novella written by Pearl S. Buck, a Nobel Prize winner, lady writer. And yesterday in the introduction we have seen what was the setting of time and place of the story. As far as time is concerned, we have seen that this story is set at the time of the Second World War, and the America and Japan, they were the bitter enemies, bloodthirst enemies of each other, and the war was going on between them. So this was the time when the story was set. And another thing is that the setting of place. This story is set in Japan, on a lone coast of Japan, where Dr. Sadao's house is there, and a very little part is also set in the residence of Chief General of Japanese Army. Now let us come to the actual story plot. So our story starts with our main character, the protagonist of our novella, Dr. Sadao Hockey. Dr. Sadao Hockey was an eminent Japanese surgeon, and not only surgeon, he was also a scientist, and he was working on the discovery of rendering wounds entirely clean. The wounds, no, when the soldiers they get injured in the war on the battlefield. So this discovery of rendering wounds, healing the wounds entirely. So this may help a lot in the war, because at this story is going at the war time, and this discovery is very important. So from this point of view, our Dr. Sadao is a very important and VIP person. He was a scientist and a chief surgeon in the Japanese army, an eminent person, very. And this the surgery and the medicine that he has learned in America. He had been there in America for 8 years for study. His father had sent him in America to study medicine and surgery, and that is why for nearly 8 years he was in America. So the little influence of American ideas, American thoughts, principles were also there, found in the character of Dr. Sadao. Now, presently in the story, when the story begins, Dr. Sadao is not sent abroad along with the troops. The war was going on. So the war was fought on the different part of the world, as Japan has waged war against America. So these troops has to go abroad, and the surgeons like Dr. Sadao are needed on such kind of war fields. But Dr. Sadao was not sent. There are two major reasons that why Dr. Sadao was not sent along with the troops. He was not sent to abroad. The first reason is that he was a scientist, and he was working on the discovery of rendering wounds clean. Just now we have talked. So this was the first reason that this discovery should be continued, and at any cost this discovery should not be stopped. So that is why, to give little privilege as a scientist, Dr. Sadao was not sent along with the troops. So this was the reason. The second reason is also there. The old chief general of Japanese army, his health was not good, and at any time there might be an urgent need of operation, surgery, and Dr. Sadao Hockey was the best surgeon in Japan. So that is why Dr. Sadao Hockey was also kept back in Japan and not sent along with the troops. Actually, this is the main reason why Dr. Sadao was not sent with the troops. The scientific discovery, yes, this was also the reason, but it was the covered. It was covered. The real and genuine reason was that Dr. Sadao Hockey was kept back. It was because of old general and his operation that may arise at any time. So that is why, for the sake of this operation, Dr. Sadao was kept back in Japan, and presently he's living there in Japan. So now let us talk about the another major character of the story, Hannah. Sadao and Hannah, they met in America by chance, by luck. Sadao says, by luck because he feel lucky himself to meet Hannah and got married with her. So they met in America. Hannah was also there in America, and accidentally, by chance, they met in an American professor's house. This professor was kind enough. His wife was kind enough to invite these Sadao and Hannah for the party. Some, the foreign students actually, not only Sadao and Hannah, some foreign students they have invited, and there, by luck, by chance, Hannah and Sadao met, and they fall in love. But actually, this he waited. Dr. Sadao did not hurriedly fall in love with Hannah. He waited to know that she was a pure Japanese race. Actually, this particular, the plot, this particular hint, that is idea given in the story, that suggests that how rigid, racist these Japanese people are. Even in the case of love, when you see somebody and fall in love, love is natural. So it doesn't think of any race, it doesn't think of any religion or caste or anything else. So here, this Dr. Sadao, though he liked Hannah, he waited to fall in love until he knew that Hannah was a pure Japanese race. And one more thing that shows that these people, these Japanese people, were racist. That is, he is having the disgusting feeling. He has displeasing feeling towards this American professor. Though he was kind enough, his wife was kind enough. They were being invited. Though these Americans were treating them in a well manner, even after that also, Dr. Sadao and Hannah and the Japanese like Dr. Sadao and Hannah, they were prejudiced, thinking that Americans are not good. So here, Dr. Sadao mentions that he didn't like the smaller rooms that they were living in, the food they prepare very bad, and the wife of professor that was very voluble one. So this was the mm, feeling, actually the feeling of dislike towards the Americans that is shown here. And I told you yesterday in the introduction that this is for what our writer Pearl S. Buck was criticized. So this writer, the Western writers, the American writer has tried to show that how this Japanese here, Dr. Sadao and Hannah, they are glorified characters in the story. So they emerged as a good human being uh, uh, in the midst of the war. But here, this side is also highlighted that they were racist. So here, Dr. Sadao waited to fall in love until he knew that Hannah was the pure Japanese. And he also hated the smaller rooms, bad food, and voluble wife of American professor and their kindness. Okay, but however, they fall in love with each other. They are in America, but they did not marry hurriedly. Here, Dr. Sadao waited till the acceptance of his father comes, and his father no, he would have never accepted if Hannah was not Japanese. So first, it was confirmed that the race of Hannah is Japanese one, and then only the father has given the consent to Sadao to marry Hannah. And after that, when they returned to Japan, in Japan, in a very traditional Japanese way, the marriage was arranged and organized, and now presently they are very, very happy and perfect living their married life. Hannah and Sadao. Now coming to the house of Dr. Sadao, which is situated there on a lone Japanese coast. Actually, so far away from the village, far away from the town. It was a lone coast, a seashore, where his house was built on the rocky platform, and it is built up of the square stone, and the house is surrounded by the pines. A little bit kind of aloof one, isolated house because he belongs to the army and not a common citizen, and away from the locality, away from the colonies of the people, the common people's colony, and it is surrounded by the pines. And from his house, one could see the islands there. So going towards the west. For these islands, Dr. Sadao's father, he would always tell his child, Dr. Sadao, that these islands are not just islands; they are the stepping stones for the future of Japan. He would always tell him that to inspire him, to motivate him. Now, what does he mean to say that? What are these stepping stones? Stepping stones of our future. Stepping stones. Maybe he was talking about the development, or maybe he here. This is what the flavor of racism is there again. So here. A writer Paul S. Buck mean to say that he was thinking of being imperialist. Imperialist means here Japan was an ambitious country, and before the World War, Second World War, like Germany, Japan was also one of the nations that wants to rule the spread the empire, spread its national empire. So that is why that he it was considered as a rigid and national racist country who looked down upon the other countries. So the flavor of imperialism is also there. It might be the development that is there, and the son, Dr. Sadao, would ask his father that where these stepping stones will take the Japan. So he would always say that it depends on what we see there. It depends. So this is also a clear-cut indication that it depends on what we see, our outlook. Now, Pearl S. Buck, our writer, suggests that it depends on how we outlook. Okay, stepping stones could be of the development, could be of the progress in a positive manner, and stepping stones could be interpreted as the imperialistic attitude that Japan wants to spread its empire and its territory, empirical territory in the world. So this was about the Dr. Sadao's house, which was built on the rocks at a lone Japanese coast, surrounded by the pines. Now our story begins with the mysterious evening. Dr. Sadao and Hannah, they were there in Miranda, having just a very romantic mood, and the mist there on the coast that was approaching, the heavy fog mist was approaching. It has already covered that coast, lonely coast, and the seashore, and slowly, gradually, it was coming towards the house of Dr. Sadao, as if it is covering, you could see nothing. But the very pleasant morning, but still mysterious one, and this mist started covering the beach, the rocks, the pine trees, and then house. But in between, here suddenly, Dr. Sadao and Hannah through this mist saw a shape of man on the coast. So from the sea, this man flung out, came out, uh, and fell down and crawling again fell down on his face. And Dr. Hannah and Dr. Sadao, they were worried. They thought that perhaps it is a fisherman, and this fisherman was washed out uh, of the boat and maybe injured, and uh, that is why he fall unconscious there on the face. So they saw the man, perhaps a fisherman. Now, when they see, then they see the fisherman there badly, he fallen there unconscious. So Hannah and Dr. Sadao, they were naturally very kind one, and they ran and went there to see to see and help this fisherman, perhaps the injured one. So on such a lone cost, nobody is there to help. So that is why these were the only people, Hannah and Dr. Sadao, they could help this fisherman. Otherwise, he will die or something like this. It will be dangerous for his life. So that is why Hannah and Sadao, they went to help him. And while going on, they saw that the blood stains on the sand and the rock. This clearly shows that this man is injured badly and bleeding badly. So perhaps they thought that a man who is washed out from the boat, so and torn by the sea rocks. But when they went there and saw actually the man was not a fisherman. To their surprise, to their shock, it was not a fisherman, it was a sailor. And not just a sailor, he was an US sailor, an American sailor, a white man, their enemy. War was going on. So the soldier, a US sailor from America, he is enemy for Dr. Sadao and Hannah. And they understood it by looking at the cap of that man. And it was a white man, white blonde man. It was clearly seen he was not Japanese. And on his cap also it was written US Navy. So uh, he turned as a sailor and not as a fisherman. Now the question comes to their mind that what to do with this man now. The man, though he was an enemy, though he is a US sailor, this man was badly injured and he was badly bleeding and nearly in the condition of dying. And he was his one of the injury was reopened by the rocks, which was shot by the gun, the old injury it is, and that is reopened because of the spikes of the rocks on the sea. And perhaps this man is run away from the prison, broken the prison and ran away, and he will surely die. Death is sure for him if he is not treated. This is the condition of the man, the poor man. And at another side, uh, Dr. Sadao and Hannah also could understand that this man could turn to be a very, very dangerous enemy. A soldier from US Navy who had broken the prison and ran away and escaped from there and is caught by the sea rocks and was injured. So this man could turn a very dangerous enemy. This is also the idea that came to their mind. And should they hand this man to police, considering him the enemy? Even if they hand over this man to the police will shoot him and he will die. So this was the dilemma. What to do with man now? Whether this man should be handed over to the police as an enemy, or whether this man should be given treatment. Sadao was a doctor, so he could save the life. So, what to do with this man? Whether to consider him as an enemy or to consider him as a patient, a dying man, an injured man, a poor injured man. So, what should be the consideration for them to this man, white man, the seller, US seller? So, for them, it was a great dilemma, like in Hamlet, to be or not to be is the question, isn't it? So, what to do? The kindest option, they thought that kindest option. See how the character is created. At one side, Pearl Esberg is showing the Japanese people, the racist one. Here, Dr. Sadao, who waited to fall in love with Hannah till he knew that she was Japanese. And here we have the same Dr. Sadao and Hannah herself. They were thinking that the kindest thing to throw him back into the sea. Why? Throwing back into the sea. There were earlier two options: handing him over to the police and treating him, helping him, giving treatment to him. But in both cases, there was a great risk. If they handed over this man to the police, they would kill him. The police will kill this man. So this is what exactly Dr. Sadao and Hannah don't they didn't want. Why didn't they want? उनको क्यों नहीं लगा कि मतलब इसको मारा जाए? He was an enemy after all. It's a natural for any human being that killing somebody or somebody dying is not at all a good idea. So they were not able to uh, digest that. They were not able to think or tolerate the idea of somebody dying or somebody being killed. And there, in the death of this man, and in the death, in the killing of this man, Dr. Sadam and Hannah, they were going to play the important role. Because of them, this man would die. So this option they didn't think is better one. So they decided not to hand over to the police because they thought that killing him or dying this man is not a good idea. Another option was also there for him, that if they treat him, so as a doctor, he was trained to save the life of the people, so he should save him. But if they treat this man and save him from the dying, this would come to know to the people, would come to know to the army, and Dr. Sadao and Hannah will be charged as traitor. Traitor means Deshdrohi, who goes against the national safety and security. So traitor, they would be charged as a traitor, and they would be arrested and maybe given the punishment of death. Death sentence would be given to them. So this is another risk if they give the medical treatment to him. So the people are there, no servants are there in the house, so they may report to the police. People, by chance, if they come to know that there is a white man and Dr. Hannah, so Dr. Sadao and Hannah, they are treating to him and saving this man. So this will be the risk, and because of that, even in the society, in Japan, is considered as the most rigid nationalist, and they do not bear, they cannot tolerate that one of the Japanese, one of from their own community, their own race could go against their country, their own country. So they would be boycotted, they would be insulted, they would be humiliated, they would be uh, treated very very badly in the society. So that was also a great risk. And what will happen to their children, their children's future? was also at great risk. Will they tolerate the humiliation and the insult that they would have to face after charging their parents as traitors? So the traitors' children, they will be humiliated, they will be targeted and tortured by saying them that they are the children of traitors. So this is also a very very great risk to help this man. So they were unable to take the decision, and they thought that the kindest thing, they were kind basically. That is what um, the writer wants to suggest. The kindest thing to throw this man back into the sea, as it has come from the sea, throw in the back, means handing over to the destiny. Whatever is would happen. So they will have nowhere to uh, come or play a role in. So that is why this option was explored by them to throw. But this indecisiveness that goes against their natural instinct. What is natural instinct? Natural instinct is what is there naturally in our heart. Okay, the things that we learn, that is in those things are in our mind, and the things that we learn, they are naturally there, that is in their heart. So whenever there used to be the fight conflict between the mind and heart, dil and dimag, they are a different part. So dimag is what that we have learned, the society that teaches us. So there are many things that we learned by others, learned by observation, and there are a lot of things that those are in our heart that comes naturally. That is the being natural human being. So being kind, being loving, being caring is very very natural one. You have studied in your last year in your chapter of Nelson Mandela Long Walk to Freedom. There, Nelson Mandela, says that love is natural and hatred is learned one, isn't it? And here is the same, the example. The love towards a man is natural, and hatred towards a man of a man is learned one. Somebody tells us to hate. Somebody teach us to hate. Okay, if we hate the Hindu people, if Hindu people hate the Islam or Islamic people, median people, so they are taught right from the childhood. These children, that people are taught to hate Muslim people. Muslims are taught, Mohammedans are taught to hate Hindus or any other religions. So these hatred is natural. I'm sorry. Uh, this hatred is taught ideas. Okay, but a man loves a man. A man likes a man. A man, is kind towards another man. A man is helpful to another man. That is a natural instinct. That is in there, inside there. That is why even an animal, if suppose it is in bad condition, somebody is killing a snake, then many people feels bad. Why? Because there it is natural. The kindness is natural in the human being. So that is the natural instinct of a man. So in this here, in case of Dr. Sadao and Hannah, both this indecisiveness means they were not able to take the decision of what to do with this man, and has considered the option, the best, the kindest option, to throw him back into the sea. But again, their heart, their natural instinct does not allow them to throw him back, because they knew that if they throw this man back into the sea, this man will surely die, because he was badly injured and in bleeding and required an urgent surgery, required an urgent medical treatment. And if they throw this man into the sea, as if they were handing over this man to the destiny, again that they were feeling guilty that they could save the life of this man, but they are again putting this man into the mouth of death, isn't it? So they were not able to throw this man back into the See, so though they thought that, why did they think that this is the kindest option? Because there wouldn't be any risk of getting trouble to them. So treating this man is a great trouble because they would be arrested and charged of traitor, in the charge of being traitor, and handing this man to the police, that the police will kill him, that they don't want. But anyhow, if they are throwing this man to the into the sea, this man will die. So finally, they have decided to take this man to the house for the medical treatment. Even before that, no, though his mind was telling him that this man is his enemy, when he saw this man, he thought that this man is foolish, this man is stupid, and a very repulsive figure. Repulsive figure means a figure that deserve to be disliked, deserve to be hate, disgusting one. So all the adjective, he did not feel well when he saw the white man and the wounded one is there, because he was his enemy. The only thing that brings the kind feeling towards them is that he was injured. Otherwise, no. Dr. Sadao thought that if the man would be whole, means he is not injured, if he wouldn't bother about it, he wouldn't care about it, he would have definitely handed this man over to the police, surely, 100%, because this man is an enemy. But the problem is that this man is dying and badly wounded and injured, and he was the doctor. And a doctor is trained to save his life. He could save the life of this man. And it is the duty of each and every doctor. Children, when you will also become doctor, no, do not forget this thing, this idea. Doctor, if you can save the life of the person, so don't think of the bill that you need, okay, that your hospital needs. Try to save the life of the man. So a doctor, and he takes the oath. Doctors also takes the oath to save the life. The saving life is the priority. Then your fees and your other things are they comes. So Dr. Sadao was also trained to save the life of this man. So his train, when he saw this man bleeding badly, no. So though he was thinking him enemy, though he was thinking not to save him, though he was thinking of handing him to the police, though he was thinking of throwing him back into the sea, his hands naturally, without thinking, his hands, without thinking, they patched the injury of this man with the sea moss packing. He, the bleeding was given the packing so that the bleeding would stop. And with the sea moss, it is said that in the soil of the country, it has a healing power. मिट्टी में वो healing power होता है. तो मिट्टी तो that is why some people know on the injury, uh, the soil is applied. Okay, maybe infection would get, but the old people, the old generation people, they think that actually this soil has got the healing power. But somehow, whether it is healing power or just packing the stopping the from bleeding, this Dr. Sadao, has packed his injury with the sea moss. Sea moss, the plants on the sea. So with that, he packed his injury from where it was bleeding very badly. Now this natural instinct of kindness of Dr. Sadao and Hannah has finally reached to the final decision, the present final decision to take this man to the hall. And as far as the servants are concerned, because no, there are no other people, because this was the lonely house on the coast of lone cost, so no people would come there. And if even if they come, they could hide there. And as far as servants are concerned, so they have decided to tell the servants that their intention is to hand this man over to the police after the treatment. So first they will have the treatment and then they will surely hand it over this man to the police. But one more thing is there that Dr. Sadao reassure himself and keep telling Hannah that indeed they are going to hand over this man to the police. So why they were reassuring themselves that they are going to hand over this man to the police? Because inside, in his heart, he knew that it was very difficult for them to hand over this man to the police. Why? Because the police will kill him, and killing a man and having the role in killing somebody, that is not the nature of Dr. Sadao. That is very, very unkind and cruel on the part of Hannah and Dr. Sadao. That is why he still had the doubt inside him about himself that whether he would hand over him to the police or not. Though he is reassuring himself, he is trying to reassure himself, he is trying to convince him that indeed they have to hand this man over to the police. The students, today we will stop here. I hope that you understood this part, the first part of the chapter of the story. Uh, so let us continue the next part of the chapter in the next period. Till then, have a nice day. Uh, Goodbye.